on YouTube. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's already live. For all
Okay, that's cool.
participants, you can check on Ikompara Madinah YouTube. If you couldn't enter this meeting. Okay, it's already 10:10, so I'll start the agenda. So, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this event organized by Communication Science Program Paramadina University, and it is a part of the Hibah Program Kompetisi Kampus Merdeka. I will be hosting this event for the meantime, but let me introduce myself first. My name is Iklima, and I'm a student majoring in Communication Science at Paramadina University. It is certainly an honor for me to welcome you all here this morning. So I would like to thank you for joining us today at this special workshop to discuss how to nail job interviews. With our key speakers, Alexandria Chai and Tia Rinadi Putri, and of course, the workshop will be led by our dearest lecturer, Ms. Atika Budi Utami, as our today's moderator. But I'll greet our lecturers first. Welcome to all lecturers of Paramadina, and welcome to all participants. Before we all get to the main agenda, all participants will be given a link to fill attendance in the last session. So make sure you stay until the end. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we will have first a welcoming speech from the Dean of Faculty of Philosophy and Civilization. Please welcome Ms. Tia Rahmania, MPhil Psycholog.
Yes, thank you for Iklima. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, salam sehat untuk semua. And I would like to say thank you and appreciate for the committee that allowed me to make a speech in this event. And please allow me to make a speech in Bahasa to make a more intimate to audience here, ya. Oke, pertama-tama marilah kita panjatkan puji syukur kehadirat Tuhan Yang Maha Esa, Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, Sang Maha Pengasih, Maha Penyayang, yang telah memberikan kita sehat dan memungkinkan kita untuk berkumpul di pertemuan virtual pada kesempatan hari ini. Yang terhormat, saya Tia Rahmania mewakili Fakultas Falsafah dan Peradaban ingin mengucapkan apresiasi kepada tentu yang pertama adalah narasumber kita yang luar biasa yang tadi sudah saya sapa di awal-awal pertemuan, Ibu Alexandria Chai. Beliau ternyata adalah trainer bahasa Inggris bersertifikat internasional, ya, yang sudah punya pengalaman bahkan sampai 20 tahun. Terima kasih Ibu karena bersedia untuk berbagi bersama kita, mengedukasi para mahasiswa kami yang hadir di sini. Juga Ibu Siti Sotiarachmi Rinadi Putri, yang panggilannya seperti saya juga, Tia. Terima kasih Bu Tia. Beliau ini ternyata adalah trainer juga bahasa Inggris bersertifikat dengan pengalaman mengajar bahkan 15 tahun, luar biasa. Kalau di Paramadina itu sudah mendapatkan 2 medali itu, medali apresiasi karena usia ataupun lamanya mengajar begitu di Paramadina. Terima kasih Bu Tia. Tentunya kita akan banyak mendapatkan hal-hal baik yang kunci untuk bisa berkomunikasi secara baik dan efektif ya dalam konteks bisnis dalam bahasa Inggris. Kemudian tentunya juga saya berikan apresiasi untuk Ibu Ketua Program Studi Ilmu Komunikasi Universitas Paramadina, Ibu Tri Wahyuti, yang senyumnya selalu mencerahkan pagi dan siang mahasiswanya. Terima kasih Bu Tri sudah mengisi acara ini. Dan juga Ibu Atika Budi Utami di belakang layar, tapi sibuk sekali tentunya, beserta rombongan panitianya yang diorganisir oleh beliau.
Terima kasih.
Juga saya yakin ada dosen-dosen dari program studi ilmu komunikasi yang hadir di sini. Bahkan saya lihat juga ada ketua program studi dari prodi lain di Paramadina, Ibu Ira Samri. Terima kasih Bu Ira hadir di sini. Juga teman-teman kaprodi yang lain yang tidak bisa saya sebutkan namanya satu persatu. Dan yang luar biasa tentunya adalah para sivitas akademika Universitas Paramadina, selain dosen tadi dari Prodi Ilmu Komunikasi. Terima kasih karena sudah bersedia, fokus, dan komitmen untuk kegiatan ini. Di tengah keprihatinan global kita terkait pandemi COVID-19, kita sempatkan juga untuk mengirimkan doa kesembuhan, juga doa healing kita untuk diri kita sendiri barangkali yang saat ini mungkin sedang tidak nyaman kondisi fisiknya, juga kita doakan orang-orang yang kita sayangi, kita cintai, orang-orang yang dekat dengan kita, untuk bisa terus berjuang sembuh dari COVID-19 dan tentunya harapan untuk Indonesia ya, supaya kita bisa melewati kondisi pandemi yang tidak mudah ini. Fakultas Falsafah dan Peradaban secara khusus mendukung penuh kegiatan-kegiatan yang dilakukan oleh program studi ilmu komunikasi terkait dengan rangkaian kegiatan hibah program kompetisi kampus merdeka tahun 2021. Dan ini adalah salah satu kegiatan dari seluruh rangkaian kegiatannya, yaitu online workshop, how to nail job interviews, yang mana ini akan pasti berdampak tidak cuma prodi ilmu komunikasi dan para mahasiswanya, tapi juga sivitas akademika di Universitas Paramadina. Besar harapan kami ini bisa membantu untuk menghasilkan lulusan Universitas Paramadina yang berkualitas, siap kerja dan siap untuk diterima serta berkontribusi di masyarakat. Karena hal tersebut juga adalah pasti harapan dan upaya dan harapan besar juga dari pemangku jabatan yang ada di Universitas Paramadina, dan kali ini sudah diupayakan oleh program studi ilmu komunikasi dalam bentuk kegiatan-kegiatan yang sangat bermanfaat. Sekali lagi apresiasi yang luar biasa untuk panitia kegiatan pembekalan lulusan mahasiswa dalam pelatihan bahasa Inggris untuk bisnis ini, karena kita tahu memang penguasaan bahasa Inggris untuk bisnis itu bisa sangat bermanfaat tidak cuma bagi lulusan tapi juga industri, karena bisa mempermudah komunikasi juga, dan bahkan deal-deal bisnis sekarang sudah banyak sekali yang terkait dengan konteks memerlukan skill kemampuan bahasa Inggris. Nah, bahkan secara khusus saya boleh sampaikan bahwa Pak Rektor sendiri di perbincangan dengan kami itu menekankan dan memperhatikan sekali terkait dengan kemampuan berbahasa asing dari mahasiswa, karena menurut beliau berdasarkan pengalaman ketika berinteraksi dengan Cak Nur, salah satu keberhasilan dari seseorang atau individu itu adalah kemampuan bahasanya, yaitu kemampuan bahasa Inggris. Itu selain kemampuan matematika katanya, karena banyak sekali bukti bahwa tokoh-tokoh yang ada di Indonesia karena kemampuan skill bahasa Inggrisnya menyebabkan kontribusinya bisa sangat luas dan besar, tidak cuma secara nasional tapi juga internasional. Jadi sangat-sangat menyambut dan sangat apresiasi dari Fakultas Falsafah dan Peradaban kepada Prodi Ilmu Komunikasi yang digawangi oleh Ketua Prodi Ilmu Komunikasi, serta para dosen dan panitia, serta mahasiswa. Tentunya terima kasih juga kepada para narasumber yang sangat kompeten hari ini sudah hadir dan sedia untuk memberikan segala pengetahuan terbaiknya di 15 tahun, di 20 tahun pengalaman sebagai seorang fasilitator dalam berlisensi lagi ya dalam kemampuan atau skill bahasa Inggris ini. Demikian kiranya sambutan saya selaku Dekan Fakultas Falsafah dan Peradaban Universitas Paramadina. Tak ada gading yang tak retak, mohon maaf apabila ada yang kurang berkenan. Teriring pantun untuk semakin menyegarkan pagi ini, boleh ya Ibu Atika?
Silakan Bu.
Ya, jalan-jalan ke Kota Lama. Singgah sebentar ke Mangga 2. Ya. Para mahasiswa jangan segan ya untuk bertanya. Cerdas bersama di acaranya Komunikasi Paramadina.
Thank you.
Oke, Taufik wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih Bu Tiara Mania. Thank you for your speech. But before we get to another agenda, let us take a photo documentation to celebrate the opening of our workshop. So everyone, could you please open your camera so that we could take a photo? And Mason, could you please help me to screenshot our session today? Yeah, so everyone, please open your camera. Should we start
Oke,
the
semuanya.
screenshot? Ya, silakan Mas Wawan.
Oke, semuanya total ada 7 layar. Mohon bersabar. Oke. Untuk layar pertama 1, 2, 3. Oke. Untuk layar kedua 1, 2, 3. Oke. Untuk layar ketiga 1, 2, 3. Oke. Layar keempat 1, 2, 3. Oke. Layar kelima 1, 2, 3. Oke, layar ke-6. 1, 2, 3. Dan layar terakhir. Siap. 1, 2, 3. Oke, terima kasih.
Thank you, Mas Wawan. Moving right along, it is now my pleasure to introduce our moderator. Ms. Atika is a lecturer of communication science at Paramadina. She completed her CELTA or certificate in teaching English to speakers of other languages, which is endorsed by the University of Cambridge, UK in 2010. She is passionate about some issues like communication, international events, pop culture, capacity building, English, and teacher training. She enjoys listening to music and reading books. So without further ado, please give a round of applause to Ms. Atika Budi Utami.
Thank you. Thank you, Iklima, for the warm introduction and warm opening. And thank you to all participants for coming amid your busy activities. And I know that we are very busy doing all stuff every time, yeah. Thank you, Ibu Tia Rahmania, Ibu Tri Wahyuti, my fellow lecturers of communication, and also Ibu Ira Samri. Thank you for coming and for your time joining this event. For those who don't know me, my name is Atika, and I'm taking over as a moderator for this event, How to Nail a Job Interview. The main objective of this workshop is to prepare our students with useful skills when they enter a very competitive and demanding job field. One of the skills that's been often ignored and is English, but don't worry, we are not going to cover all of the English skills. We don't have much time to do that, although we actually want to share with you. So we will just cover one particular skills that we think that it is the most relatable one to you, to students who will have to graduate soon. And that is how to face a job interview, especially facing a job interview in English. With that in mind, I'm honored and that I can invite my friends, my good friends. They are all outstanding trainers, Tia Rinadi Putri and Alexandria Chai. So now I'm going to read the excerpts, of their CVs, their long CVs. So this is just an excerpt. I'm so sorry I have to do this. Siti Sotiarajni Rinadi Putri, or we call her Tia, is an experienced English examiner and trainer at the British Council. She's been in the teaching business for about 15 years now. She was the academic manager at the British Institute before. Tia is a Bachelor of Fisheries from Bogor Agricultural Institute. She completed Cambridge certification, Certificate in Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, or CELTA, in 2011. In her free time, she enjoys listening to music, reading, and writing. And our second speaker is Alexandria Chai, or we call her Alex. Alex is an associate life and executive coach in Coaching Indonesia. She's also an experienced English trainer and now works for the British Council. Alex finished her diploma in teaching English to speakers of other languages, or Delta, in 2019. She's a Bachelor of Education from Atmajaya Catholic University. And Alex loves traveling, swimming, reading, cooking, and doing yoga. I'm not going to talk about this long because the stars are of course, our speakers, our outstanding speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have questions during the presentation of both speakers, please write your questions on the chat box. You can write in English or in Indonesian, so no problem. Yeah, we will help you with translating later. So now, please welcome Tia Rina Diputri and Alexandria Chai. The floor is yours.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'm still getting used to this online format, even though it's nearly been 2 years. Usually when we have live sessions, there will be a chorus of "Good morning, miss," or something like that. And it feels a bit lonely sometimes. But I hope that you guys can still participate by simply typing in, like Atika said earlier, by simply typing in any questions you might have throughout this session. And yes, without further ado, I think Alex will share.
I'll share the screen. Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much to Ibu Tia Ramania and Ibu Tri Wayuti, and also Ika for the warm introduction. And it's very honored to be here with Tia as well. We've been colleagues for years. So today, hopefully you can get something useful from this workshop. So let me share the screen and Tia will begin. Okay. Okay, let us know if you've seen it.
All right, can everyone see the screen?
Yes, it's great.
Okay, great. All right, so here we go. So today we're going to talk about how to nail that job interview. So the aim of this workshop there are a few points that we want you to be able to do by the end of the session. The first one is we hope that by the end of the session, you'll know what to prepare for an interview, okay? And then the next one is that first impression, that first meaningful impression. Hopefully by the end of the session, you'll know how to create that first meaningful impression. And then the next part, of course, is the content of the interview itself. We're hoping that you'll know how to deal with interview questions effectively. I know this seems strange because there is a lot of possibilities of what type of interviews you might encounter, but there are some common questions that will definitely pop up, and we'll try to make sure that you are well equipped to deal with them. The next point is the common mistakes that a lot of interviewees do and how to avoid them, basically. So this will all be pretty practical, hopefully very applicable right away for you guys. Now, to start things off, we'll do a little bit of listening activity. It's just very short, 2 30-second clips. Audio clips, so it's not very long at all. And while you're listening, I will display the text of the conversation, so hopefully that will make it easier for you. Because the aim here is I want you to listen and think. Which candidate responded better to the questions? Okay, one more time. listen and think, which candidate responded better? Okay, I hope everyone's ready. Here we go.
What university did you attend and why did you choose it?
I studied at Paramadina and I chose it because it was close to home.
All right, what did you learn there?
I studied communications and I learned a lot about communications, multimedia communications, mass communications, and how communications work in advertising, how it influences society, and so on.
Okay, the next
What,
one.
what university did you attend and why did you choose it?
I studied at Paramadina and I chose it because it had a good communications department.
What did you learn there?
Oh, many things. My communications degree was very practical. Many parts of my studies could be applied to the media industry. My assignments were often challenging with a tight deadline, so I learned how to manage my time well there too.
All right.
What university did you attend?
Okay, so I hope that was pretty clear. Now, the question is, which interview is more appropriate and why did you think so? And later on, we'll be using that, the answer to that discussion to think about how you can prepare for an interview. All right. So I hope you've already thought of your answer a little bit. You've chosen either interview 1 or interview 2. Can you give me a thumbs up if you chose interview 1 as the best interview out of the 2, the best responses out of the 2? Can you show me a thumbs up? I think there's a choice to raise your thumb or something like that, or give a reaction. Okay, does anyone think that it's the second response that's better? I'm having a look at the gallery here. I don't see any reaction. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Iklima, okay. Zidane is raising their hands and giving a thumbs up. Thank you so much. Raina also, great. So this is the one who's answering that it's the second one, yeah? Okay, great. Let's continue. So let's take a look at these 2 interviews, okay? Now the aim here is we want to look at which one created a better impression. So since I was the one enacting the interviews, as you can see, there's nothing much to be said about my pronunciation or my grammar or anything like that. So I want you to focus on the content. Okay, so in the first interview, the answer to why did you attend and why did you choose it is because it was close to home. Now let's compare that to the second interview. Now in this one, if you compare the answers between the 2, the first one shows a very, I would say rather selfish motivation. So it's something that's convenient for yourself. And the next one kind of demonstrates how the candidate is thinking about more outside of themselves. And that's what the interviewer wants to get a feel of. When you can present yourself as somebody who can already think outside of yourself, then it kind of gives a signal that you have enough maturity to deal with things that are within your responsibility. Let's take a look at the second part of the interview. Right. So this is a very simple question, and it's something that everyone can answer, including fresh graduates. But let's focus on the content of the answer here. In the first one, as you can see, this candidate is simply listing off the things that they've learned, almost as if all the subjects that they've learned, they mentioned here. Now, this is a common mistake with fresh graduates because they're trying to make up for the lack of experience. But what you need to remember is experience is not always represented by work experience. There are also soft skills that you gain when you organize with your friends during projects or organize with your friends during activities, academic activities or non-academic activities. So as you can see in the second response, there's a very short overview of what the studies, how the studies can be applied in the working world. And then after that, the candidate focused on how a soft skill that would be very useful for work situations. All right, so to sum it up, the answer to that question is the second one has a better, will create a better impression because the responses demonstrate actions taken by the candidate to become better at what they do. It's as simple as that. And so now, jumping off that, we're going to take a look at how you can prepare for an interview. And I'll be handing the floor over to Alex.
Right. Thank you very much, Dia, for showing us how to answer certain questions during the interview. Now, we're going to talk about create your first meaningful impression. Does anybody know the meaning of meaningful impression, as in how important is it? Is it very important for you to create first meaningful impressions, or you just don't care? Okay, the answer is it is really important, especially, for example, if you're coming from a communication science program, the interviewers, the first thing they will expect would be you're very good at talking because your major is communication. So it's nothing wrong from, they actually expect you to show really good communication skills. So you have to be prepared. That's the meaning of first meaningful impressions in terms of something related to what you are studying. Now, how about the others? Okay, let's have a look at here. The first thing we need to prepare before the interview is, this is important, do not underestimate what you wear, okay? If you're doing online or offline, you still have to pay attention to what you're wearing. Avoid wearing t-shirts because you won't look professional. Wear something that represents you and also the work that you're going to do later, okay? And try to avoid pajamas if you're doing online, okay? Wear something casual or business-like, but still comfortable, okay? Now, predict the questions. It's very important for you to predict the questions when you have an interview. Let's say you have 10 questions that you would like to, you list down 10 questions, assuming that this will be asked by the interviewers, okay? And the function of predicting the question is to prepare yourself to handle the questions, to answer, to give your best answers. But avoid memorizing the questions, okay? And do some research on the companies that you're applying. And if the company is working in the side of business services, what kind of business and what kind of services or products they have recently, and what kind of people actually work in that kind of company. So there might be one of the questions that will ask related to the company itself. Now, find out what the jobs involves. Nowadays, there's so many startups and they have really, I would say, sophisticated job titles. Sometimes they don't actually represent what the job descriptions will be. Assume that each company with the same job titles will have the same job descriptions. So always read very carefully the requirements when you're applying, because you will have to use these requirements to write your cover letters. Now, through the cover letters, people will actually call you for interviews because that is the first impression you create before you actually come into the interview. Okay, so read the job, what the job involves and what you need. And analyze your skills and experience, what you have. what you've got, so they will call you for an interview. And what you've got, so they will actually call you back after the interview. Okay, relate the skills and experience to the job involved, what's the jobs involved, the job requires. And if you don't have, let's say, work experience, you have organizational skills from campus clubs. You have organizational skills from the maybe voluntary work that you've been doing, or something that you've, in the neighborhood, something small. Do not underestimate organizational skills or something that can actually bring you or give you more experience in leadership, team working, and communication skills in the group. Okay, something as small as working as a volunteer to clean the river, for example. That's very crucial to mention. It's very crucial for you to mention during the interview or even the CV. Now, rehearse the interview. It's very important to practice before you actually go into the interview. Have a friend to practice with you and to practice whether or not your answers actually reveal what you yourself and your skills. Sometimes what happens in the interview, because they're nervous, so they lose everything that actually they're actually better, but the way they say it doesn't actually show their real skills or the real them. Okay, so make sure you rehearse first and prepare 1 or 2 questions to ask at the end of the interview. This is a must. At the end of the question, usually the interviewer will ask, do you have any questions for us? Prepare 1 question. The first question, it should be the question that to show that you are eager to learn. So you can ask a question like, for example, well, will I get further training when I join this group, considering that I'm just a fresh graduate? Okay. Will there be a chance for me to actually work in groups so I can learn from my senior? Or you can also have another question showing that you're eager to contribute. For example, would there be a chance for me to share what I have? Because I really like yoga. So would it be possible to share something to improve the well-being of our colleagues? Okay, that could be something that you share. So don't just ask, what's my salary like? Okay. Now, so to sum up, these are the things that you should do or we should do. Now, dress appropriately. For ladies, I would actually recommend not wearing leggings if you're doing on-site interview, okay, because they are not really professional, or avoid denims. And if you're doing on-site interview, I would recommend arrive 30 minutes before the interview, so you have time to freshen up, maybe to spray some perfume if you like, comb your hair, put on lipsticks, okay? And for online interview, basically 15 minutes mean 15 minutes you've done all the preparation. You've logged in, you've already in front of the screen, you've tested the sound, you see your own look on the screen, okay? You wear proper clothing, so you just need to wait for the interviewers to show up, okay? Now, act confident and relaxed. Remember, when you're not confident, it shows from the sound, the voice. It projects something, okay? So it's very important to act. Is that act? People don't really care how many butterflies you have in your stomach, as long as you act confident and relaxed, okay? Only you yourself know how nervous you are. You don't have to show it, okay? Now, know what you're talking about. Yeah, because the interviewers will ask further questions. So you need to know what you're talking about, okay? Don't say something that you cannot justify. Do not say something that you don't have any further details or example to support yourself, because the interviewers will ask you further questions, okay? Man, always smile, either online or offline interview. It's very important, okay? To show that you are, would say, open to anything, to learning, open to something. So keep smiling, okay? Feel free to ask any questions if you like, okay? Now, something that we shouldn't do, if you're going to be late for an interview, either online or offline, I would recommend text or inform the PIC, anyone that invites you, by email and then text. email and text saying that you might be late, even though you may not be late, but it's very important to inform it, just in case that they're looking for you 10 minutes before the interview. This is to leave good impressions. You want to show that you're a professional, you're not students anymore, you're ready for the professional work, okay, and work life. Now, bring a close friend. Don't bring any supporters or cheerleaders to accompany you for an interview. But if you're applying for a master degree and you want cheerleaders or people who support you, that's fine. But when you're applying for a job, show confident and you're also independent. Yeah. So the supporters can also stay at home and maybe keep in touch, but be sure that you're there for the job. Now, don't look tense or have shaky voice or less eye contact. Even though you're doing online interview, keep the eye contact all the time, moderately, not staring as well. Okay, and be more direct and brief, and also simple. Simple is good. So avoid beating around the bush, going around and around, but the main point is just very short. Okay. Now we'll talk about being concise later in Tia's part. Now, don't memorize the answers. Okay. Do you know why it's not good to memorize the answers? Because you're going to focus on the next question coming. So don't memorize the answers. Okay. Just in case the question will always be different. And if you looked at the resources that we share later by the end of this workshop, you see that some startup companies actually demand something else. They can ask some crazy questions. Okay. Now, let's see. Now, next, we're going to moving on to Tia, talking about how to deal with interview questions. Your screen is yours, Tia.
All right. Sorry, back to me again. And now we're going to look at specific interview questions and how to deal with them effectively. So the thing that we need to think about is that there will be several categories. We can categorize questions into several different types. Although we can't possibly predict the exact questions, but these three categories most likely will come up during interviews. So the first one would be, the first category would be try and about yourself, about your ambitions, and try to find out more about your personality. If you hear that, and then the next one would be proof of research on the job and on the company. Like Alex said earlier, do some research is something that needs to be done because your interviewer would also like to know whether you have done this. And that also creates a good impression if you can show that you did research, because they can use it as an indicator about how serious you are about applying for the job and how much you're actually familiar with the job you're applying for. The third category is questions that are aimed to figure out or to find out more about your skills, your experiences, and how it relates to the job you're applying for. Okay, so in the first category, this is a sample question for questions that's aimed to find out more about you, your ambitions, and your personality. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time, and what do you see as your strengths? As you can see, if you can think about these things before the interview, it will allow you to answer in a way that is personalized to your personality and your experiences. And these are things that we already think of all the time. That's what Alex meant when she said a lot of the times people know what to say, but since they didn't practice or they didn't rehearse, they appear like they're not really well spoken, and we can try to avoid that by preparing beforehand how to answer possible questions. These two questions are very simple. Where do you see yourself in 5 years' time? What do you see as your strengths? Make sure you answer relevantly, all right? We're going to be talking more about that, but quite often, I don't know about you, but as an Indonesian, I've been taught to stay humble. And when asked about what I am good at, I often evade the question and not really mention my strengths. But during a job interview, you have to go and actually highlight your strengths. And when it comes to moving on to the proof of research on the job and the company, have a look at these two questions. What do you think about our website, and what attracted you to the position? If I were the employer or the interviewer, I would think that if you really want to join my company, you would at least have a look at our website before the interview, and you would at least know about the job description that you're applying for. If people are having problems answering this during the interview, I would question how much they actually are serious about applying for the job. Right. And the next one, our questions aim to check out your skills and your experiences. Again, as a fresh graduate, a lot of the times you might feel like you have to make up for the lack of experience, but don't forget that the things that you do in university is also builds up your skills that is transferable to the working world. So when asked, what did you learn during your time at the university? Of course, you'll talk about what you learned academically, but also think about the skills that you learned during university that is transferable to the working world, to the professional world. Time management, leadership, prioritizing tasks, meeting deadlines, communicating with other people, teamwork. Those are all skills that are very, very valuable in the professional world. And the next one is even a more pointed up. Sorry, Alex, can we go back just to the previous screen? The final one is, how do you typically approach new projects? This is a more pointed question, trying to figure out what your view is when it comes to tasks that have deadlines and require you to work with a lot of people. Right, next screen, Alex, thank you. Right, so now we're going to focus on how to answer it. There are very clear things that the interviewer will be paying attention to. Of course, being clear, direct, and audible would be the things that would be first in what the interviewers pay attention to. If they can't hear you, if they can't understand you, then they will not have anything to evaluate you on. So make sure that you're very clear and you're very direct when you are talking, when you're giving your answers, and that you project your voice. So you're not mumbling, and you're not saying all the words together, and you're not, be mindful of how you do this. That's why rehearsal is pretty important, because that's when you can pay attention to your habits when you speak. Not everyone is aware of the habits that they have when they're speaking to other people, and speaking to friends and speaking to a stranger that's evaluating your performance are two very different things. So be sure to rehearse at least once or twice. If not for anything, then just to be aware of your habits when you speak to other people. Do you slouch? Do you avoid eye contact? Do you speak too quickly? Do you mumble? Are you clear when you say things? Have friends to give you feedback, and that can make a big difference during the actual interview. The next one is to be concise. Of course, they want to hear you speak, but also that doesn't mean that you have to make up things to say, you know? Say the things that you know, like Alex said, don't make up stuff. People will follow you up on that, yeah? That also links to being truthful because background checks exist. So be sure to maintain just how honest you are when you're answering these questions. Yeah, don't come in with the aim to impress no matter what, and then you end up saying things that you can't actually do or promising things that you can't actually do. Oh yes, I'm trained up in how to code when in fact you don't know how to. So don't ever do that. And then focus on action. Now this one is pretty important because this is something that a lot of people aren't very aware of. Focus on the things you do when you're asked a question instead of talking about things in abstract. Yeah, focus on the things that you do, the things that you can describe. I'll show you the next slide here, which is going back to the interview at the beginning. Remember in interview 2, this answer to what did you learn there actually gives you a demonstration on how things are concise and direct. So when asked what did you learn there, instead of listing the subjects that you studied in when you got your communications degree, the candidate actually focuses on how it can be applied to the media industry. All right, and then the focus on action here comes in the second part of the question, the answer, where in talking about their assignments and how challenging they were, the candidate talked about how they learned how to manage their time well in order to deal with these things. Again, a skill that is highly transferable to the professional world. So as you can see, with this response, there's an example of what I mean when I say be concise, being clear and direct, and then describing things based on actions, things that you've done, things that you did, right? So far, that is what I have for this segment, and I'll be handing this back over to Alex.
All right. Thank you very much, Tia, for showing us on how to answer the questions in a very professional way. Now, we're going to talk about avoiding common mistakes, okay? What mistake we should avoid when we are actually facing an interview. Now, talking about common mistakes, we also have some common questions, okay? The first common question is, how do you see yourself, your strengths? It's a simple question, very common question, but how we answer these, it should be very uncommon. So provide uncommon answers to show the real you, because a lot of people might have common answers with these common questions. How do you see your strengths? And some people have problems stating their strengths. They know more about their weaknesses. It could be part of culture, part of our upbringings. So this question is actually show how well you are in reflecting, to reflect on yourself, because reflection, self-reflections is a sign of development. In order to be able to develop and grow further, we should know our strengths, especially, and the weaknesses, and how we actually improve from there. So this question is very important. And what university did you choose, or what did you attend, and why did you choose it? Okay. And as I mentioned, that don't just say that because it's close to home, but highlight something important. Okay. Most of the time, and when someone are asked these questions, and the interviewers might be very honest. They're just saying that, oh, it's very close to my home. Oh, because my brother is studying there. Oh, we got scholarship. Oh, it's cheaper. Okay, that's not very professional answer, although it is true. So you might want to change that into something more professional. Okay, or you can also say that, well, my brother studied there and now he has a really good job. That's why I want to be successful like him. So I'm sure this communication department can actually help me become someone more successful. Okay. Now, what are your weaknesses? One recommendation, if you highlight 3 strengths, make sure that your weaknesses may be not more than 3. Okay, maybe just 1 is enough. But highlight something that you are actually working on to improve, not just something that you're having real problem with it, but you don't know how to deal with it. So it's better to something that you're working on to improve, to be better. Now, typical question, what do you like doing in your spare time? Does anybody knows the meaning of this question? There's a meaning behind it. The interviewers want to know how productive you are, even though when you're not working, whether or not you use your time, your free time, in a more productive way. There's once I actually interviewed some people, fresh graduates, and this is the answer. Okay, what do you like doing in your spare time? And the answer would be, oh, I watch TV. What do you do after you watch TV? I watch Netflix. What do you do after you watch Netflix? I watch YouTube. So it's okay if you say you watch Netflix, but please add something more productive. I watch YouTube. I always watch TED Talk because in TED Talk, I can learn how to be a good communicator like the speakers. That's why I watch TED Talk. I watch TV because it's my favorite show that actually teach me something. So highlight that good point, the reason why you're watching it, okay? Now here, recommended response, we already talked about that a little bit, okay? Use example to support your strengths. Don't just say that, oh, I'm hardworking. Why are you hardworking? Give example. Okay, I'm hardworking. For example, in the study club, I always worked in line with my timeline. I will always meet deadline. Okay, I'm also a very good teamwork, a team member, because I believed by being a good team member, we can actually work better in a team. As a result, we achieve the success together. Okay, and avoid using maybe. What do you see as your strength? Maybe I'm kind. That's not a good answer. Okay. What do you see as your strength? I don't know, but my friend said. Don't say your friend said. The interviewer wants to know what you think. What do you think, not your friend think? Don't say my mom said I am pretty hardworking. Okay, but say what you think, what you believed in. Now, the next one, with this question, don't say you choose it because it was the closest one to home, but focus on the benefits of it, okay? The benefits of choosing that such department. And what are your weaknesses? Mention one weakness. Don't say that you don't have any, okay? Everybody has weaknesses. Mention 1 or 2, something that you're working on. I have problem with time management, but I'm working on it. Now I have my timetable. So every time that I'm actually working not very productively, I'll have to look at my timetable. So I also have a reminders on my phone. So that's how I overcome my time management issue. So talk about this, highlight the weakness, but also highlight the something that you're doing to improve yourself. Now, what do you like doing in your spare time? Anything that demonstrates you, okay, that can actually contribute to a big team. Okay. Don't underestimate your own hobbies. If you like gardening, mention it. Why do you like gardening? Oh, I love gardening because by gardening, we can actually, learn how to be calm and relax. I'm sure by being calm, I can actually be more mindful. If I'm mindful, meaning I can actually contribute better in the team, okay? So just link those ideas together to create a very, I would say, memorable answers, uncommon answers instead of the common one, okay? Be extraordinary, be different, be out of the box, but don't be, very strange, okay? Maybe that's a good idea as well because you will leave a very good impression. People won't forget you. Okay, now that's overall the recommended responses. Now, next, we're going to talk more about these responses and how you actually handle these questions in the practice. Okay. Now, Tia, back to you again. Screen is yours.
All right. Hello. So welcome back. So now we get to the practice part of our workshop. Hopefully, I'm hoping that a lot will participate. But first, I'd like to introduce you to what we call kind of like a checklist to review, to evaluate, to self-evaluate and reflect on performance. This is something that we often do in our classes because we believe that learning is not only about the teachers telling you that you did this wrong or you did this, you should do this better. A big part of learning is actually making sure that our students will be able to self-evaluate and continue to learn and practice on their own, because lessons are only 1.5 hours long, and you have so much more time outside of our classrooms, outside of webinars like this, to work on your skills. So hopefully, if nothing else, I hope that you walk away after our session here, being able to rehearse with your friends and being able to see what criteria you need to look out for in order for you to be able to improve your performance during interviews. All right. So first of all, this is a checklist for evaluating, and we're going to use the 4 common questions that Alex has shared with you all. Here, as you can see, you have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5 criteria that you should look at in order for you to be able to evaluate your performance. Okay. The first thing that you want to look at is whether you're clear. The second thing is whether you're audible. Can the person interviewing you hear your answers very well? The next one would be whether you're direct with the language that you use, or are you still going round and round when you are asked the question? And then the next one is conciseness, whether you're saying a lot of things that are irrelevant, or whether you're answering things directly. And then the next one is whether you manage to describe something, focusing on the things that you did, focusing on your experiences and highlighting on how those were taken in order to improve your performance or improve your skills. Yeah. So what we're going to do right now is Alex and I are going to model. We're going to be the people who are doing this interview. And you guys, the participants, you guys are going to evaluate us. Okay. So I'm going to leave this rubric on the screen, and you guys will use this as we do the role play. And then we're going to do a quick recap of whether you thought the answers were clear, were audible, were direct, concise, and whether there was any description of actions taken by the candidate in order to explain some parts of the answer. Okay. So yes. Alex, would you like to be the interviewer or the interviewee?
Yes, I don't mind being the interviewer.
All right, so I'll be the interviewee. Okay, guys, you are evaluating me. Please be nice. You will be, remember, the point is just have a look at the criteria here. Clear, audible, direct, concise, and focus on action. Did I do all of these? Okay, did I do all of these while I'm responding to Alex's questions? All right. Okay, so
shall we start?
Sure.
All right. Okay. Good morning, Tia Rinadi Putri. Thank you for your time, for coming to our company, and thank you for your interest for this position. Okay. First of all, let's start off with, can you tell us about yourself?
Well, yes, I am Tia Rinadi Putri. I have worked as a teacher for 5 years, and I'm really interested in working at your company.
What did you learn during your time at university?
I studied education, and that is when I thought that I would like to be a teacher.
What attracted you to the position?
I thought it would be high-paying job, and I don't know. I just want to earn a lot of money.
All right, that's the end of our interview. Do you have any questions?
Nothing, no questions.
All right, thank you very much. So we'll be in touch. So hopefully you receive something from us in 2 weeks' time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, so hopefully you guys caught that and see what type of interview that was. I would like to see if you guys could tell me, did anyone think that my answers were clear? If you did, please raise a thumb up. Okay, no one said that. And then how about, I think no one, wait, there are 7 pages. Well, this is a lot. And then how about audible? Were my answers audible? Can you hear me very well? Could you raise your thumb up if you thought that it was audible? Okay. Were my answers direct? Okay. And did I say anything that described actions? No? Very good. Well spotted. Now, final question. Did you think that was a very good interview? Okay. If you thought that was not a good interview, could you please put your thumb up? If you thought that was not a good interview, could you please put your thumbs up? Put your thumbs up if you thought that was not a good interview. Okay. Can you share why you thought that wasn't a good interview? You can use the chat box. If you can share your answers, any one of you that lifted your thumbs up and said this wasn't a good interview. All right. Maybe everyone's still a bit shy, but I just want to point out that during the interview, I did not answer truthfully. I said that I studied education. I did not. That's one of the big red flags. Don't do that. And then also when asked what attracted you to the position, I said because it was a high-paying job, something that Alex specifically mentioned, don't do that, because that really doesn't sound professional at all. And when asked whether I had any questions, I simply said no. And again, we don't do that during interviews. You always have questions for the company that you are working for. So now, okay. So Alex, do you wanna do another role play with you as the interviewee, or shall we just appoint another volunteer?
Do we have time? Let's check with Atika. Do you have time for another role play, or we go straight to the participants?
Yes, if you want to give one more role play.
I think it's good. Alex,
okay.
Yeah,
maybe
Alex
just 2
will be the
questions.
interviewee.
Yeah.
Just one more, and then we get the participants to do it.
I'll ask the first 2 questions then, Alex, yeah? Okay, so this time you guys are going to be evaluating Alex when she answers the questions. All right, so hello, good morning, Alex.
Hi, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I've just had my coffee.
Well, Alex, let's just get started then. What can you tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm a fresh graduate, but I'm also a volunteer at my community near where I lived. Okay. Graduated from a University of Paramadina. I majored in communication science program, and I actually learned something from the university, how to communicate well with people. And I used these skills to communicate with the people around my area. That's why I worked as a volunteer to help children learning English in my community. I've been doing it for 2 years now. So far, I've been enjoying it.
Wow. So, Alex, what do you see as your strengths?
Well, I would say that I'm a very good team member because based on the organizations that I join and also the activities that I've participated in, I've got good feedback from my colleagues and also from my friends that we actually work together well. It's sort of like, I think being a good team member, meaning that we can actually work with anyone. So working with anyone, being able to communicate with every single person in the team, it's crucial. So that we can actually work well together and also understand each other so we can work on the task and meet the deadline.
Wow, thank you. Do you have any questions for us?
Yes, I do. I've seen in the requirement that we are required to deliver workshops whenever we work here.
That's
so
true.
Can I know what kind of workshop that is so I can prepare before, maybe before the first month?
It's a range of workshops. We can talk about it with our HR, but if you're interested, that's definitely good, good to hear. All right. Thank you very much, Alex.
Okay. Thank you.
We'll be in touch.
Thank you for your time.
All right. So again, let's have a quick show of hands. Did you think that Alex was very clear? If you think so, yeah, raise your thumb like this. I think we can see that. Did you think that she was audible? Were her answers direct? Don't forget to raise your hand if you think so. Okay, great. I see a couple of thumbs raised. That's good. Did Alex mention anything about experiences, things that she did? Did she focus on action? Raise your hand if you think, thumbs up if you think so. Okay, again. So again, that's an example of a good interview. So Alex did very well when she was answering the questions. She was truthful and she focused on the things that she did, her experiences, and she expanded her answers, and her follow-up question was very good because it showed active participation in looking at the job description and what it required from the candidates. So now we come to the next part, which is looking for a volunteer. Hopefully we have one or two or maybe three. Alex and I will take turns becoming the interviewer, and the volunteer will be the interviewee, and then we can just have a bit of practice, and then we can show you how to use this rubric so you can use it on your own with your friends. All right. Okay, so any takers?
Yes. Can anyone be a volunteer, please?
Can you raise your hand?
Yes, please. This is a rare opportunity for you.
Yeah, don't be shy.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love
if not, I'm going to call you.
Yeah, I'd love
Okay.
I'd love to hear some of your.
If not, we're going to pick based on the names that we love. The very good names you have.
Okay.
Is that it?
Wait.
Yeah. Just look at really, really cool names.
Ashraf, Ashraf, are you here, Ashraf?
Ashraf.
Oh. No. I think I saw him. I saw his name.
Did he run away?
I think so. Okay, Anastasia, please. Anastasia is one of the best.
Oh yeah,
students.
Anastasia also had a question earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right.
Is that the same Anas that I know?
Yes,
same Tasha.
yes.
Hi, Tasha.
Anastasia was with you coaching, right?
Yes.
Yes, please,
Wow.
Anastasia.
I don't know. Anastasia is here. But
Why is everyone quiet? Anastasia, I thought she was here.
Yes, I can see her name here. Yang
Oh
lain.
my God. Susan yang lain.
Yang tiga
Anas Farhat was the one of the best. You have to prove that you are one of the best. Come on.
Also, I mean, it would be good if you can turn on your camera, but if you don't feel confident about that, the audio is fine too. We're just focusing on your answers, really. So, yeah.
Maifa, please.
Consider this is your practice before you interview for a part-time job or full-time job or internship.
Ferza, please. I have to beg though. What?
Well, the thing is,
any comment?
Any comments?
Or probably they're waiting for us to answer the questions if they have more questions.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Oh, Haki, maybe one more try. Haki. Are you here, Haki? Haki is fluent. Haki, you have to show us. No. Oh my God. No one. Okay. All right. Maybe we just go to the questions then.
Yeah. I think that I have 2 questions here. One from
there are 4 questions. There are 4 participants. Yeah, asking questions. With Anastasia got more questions. Do you want me to read it for you?
Okay, I've read the one from Anastasia.
Yeah, the first one is from Anastasia.
Yeah, so this is about part-time job.
Yes.
What kind of questions will the candidate be asked about this? What kind of questions when you are applying for a part-time job? Is it only about skills? Can they ask about salary or something?
Okay. When it comes to so I do hear a lot of people asking about salaries. I don't know if it's still the same, but as far as I know, if you do your research, you can figure out the salary pretty well without asking the interviewer. So try to do that first, and also maybe look for friends who are already working there to kind of get an idea of the salary bracket. That is my suggestion for that part of the question. As for the next part of the question, which is what are the common questions for part-time workers apart from skills, I would say that a big part of being a part-time worker is your availability. So making sure that you are clear about when you're available and when you're not available would be very helpful to the interviewer, because that will help them schedule when they allocate hours for you, at least in my understanding. What do you think, Alex?
Well, to answer the first questions, I agree to what the things that you mentioned. They are true. And the first question is actually about the kind of question for a part-time job. It depends on what types of part-time jobs. If you're talking about a part-time jobs that actually require you to contribute a lot in a company, the question, it won't be any different from a full-time position, okay? Because the difference only that you only work for 3 times a day and while the other is working for 6 days in a week or 5 days in a week. And also depends on, let's say if you working as, let's say marketing communication, you're hired as a part-time marketing communication officer, which you can actually work freelance, dealing something with social media or digital social media. So the question that we'll ask will be something related to the digital media itself and how well you actually manage your own social media. If you're applying for that position, of course, they will ask you some questions. So because if you can't manage your own social media, how can you manage the company's social media? That's logically that way. So it depends on the position you're applying. If you're applying for a bartender job, because a lot of people now being a bartender is something that a lot of students do. So the question might be pretty simple. Can you actually handle the customers? Can you communicate well? What if someone angry to you, you make the wrong coffee? Or you actually give wrong change, you don't give any change to the customer, how would you handle it? So situational cases are kind of questions related to the job position. And have you ever made any coffee? Do you like your own coffee? Do you like coffee? No, I don't. I like milk. So why are you working for, Starbucks? Oh, because I love Starbucks. But you don't drink coffee. Yeah, I drink milk. So make sure that you get more, more professional answers, because I would like to gain the experience. Working in Starbucks doesn't mean you have to love coffee, but look at the other side. What kind of experience can you get from working there? Getting more network, helping parents because you get more money. And it could also be practicing your communication skills by working with a lot of people. Okay, team working, because whatever you do, team working is very important. You will work with team. Okay.
Okay, Alex, before we continue, could you please close the screen, the PowerPoint,
sorry.
so we can
There you
focus
go.
more on the questions. How about asking salary for part-time job?
Asking salary.
Is it ethical? Whether it is part-time or full-time?
I would say it depends.
Salary?
Most of some of the good companies already stated the salary, especially part-time job. They state the hourly paid, how much is it? If you apply, let's say for British Consul, it has the salary stated in the job requirements for some international companies. But some other companies don't do that. As Tia mentioned, you can do research first and have the range. Okay. Sometimes, and while you fill in the application, they will actually ask you how much you expect. So write it down, how much you expect. Okay?
So you better do your research first, yeah?
Yes,
like
do
for fresh
research
graduate,
first.
for example?
Yep. And then if, because being honest is important, at the end of the interview, just ask, would it be okay if I ask about the salary? Or is it something that I need to discuss with the HR privately? Just ask them. They'll tell you whether it's okay or not. Because some companies
really okay
are pretty,
to ask in the first entry interview?
I would say yes, because I did that before.
And
I got the job.
Yeah, and I think if
you
put it that way, like politely, would it be all right? And giving them the opportunity to say, I'm sorry, this is something we discussed further during the selection process. You're not pushing them right away.
Yeah.
So, but now, if the question is how much money do you want, or how much salary do you want, how can I answer if I were a fresh graduate? I don't know the range. I don't even know how much. What's the answer?
You just answer the question.
Just answer.
I would say that
you just answer that question by saying
10
that.
million. Oh, okay.
No, you just answer that question by saying that.
I would say this is where research comes in. So also this is a part probably where they can figure out how much research you've done into applying for the job. So if you've done the research, you would know the ballpark figure of how much people are getting paid when they have this job description. So you can do that. And if they ask for, so when you're giving your answer and they ask for the reason, of course you can say that I've done my research and I know that within this field people usually receive around this amount of pay.
Give a bigger range, okay?
Of course.
Because it's a trapped. It's a trapped question.
For example, like social media manager, you got paid actually from the HR, you got paid 10 million, and then how much do I want to say? 15 million in case of 20 million.
Then my next question would be, why do you think you're worth that much?
Yeah.
Show us.
Yeah, that's right.
Show us how much you're worth.
Yeah.
It's a trap question, as I mentioned. So to handle that question, nowadays, there are not many companies actually ask you straight away how much you need or how much do you think your salary will be. rare, but they will put it in the application form for you to tick.
Okay.
But if you do ask that questions, the way you handle it, being honest, and also research, there's both combinations. Well, since I'm a fresh graduate, I don't have prior experience, but I do know that how good I am in terms of teamworking and communication. I'm sure I can bring this into your company. So if you need someone who's really good at teamworking and can make sure the
Hire
team work
me,
well, hire me. But based on my research, I know the range is between this to this, but I don't know how much your budget is to hire me. So show that kind of attitude.
Yeah. Again,
that you're worth it.
Yeah, this is where research
confidence
come in. Yeah, research. It will show how much research you've done.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now another question.
But there are more questions.
Yeah, there are more. Do you want to read it by yourself and answer?
The next one is from Raina. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right.
She's asking about if the interviewer asks.
There is question from Anas. Have you missed it?
That's
later. Raina the second.
Oh, Raina. Okay, sorry.
So the interviewer, if they ask, I've noticed in your CV that you often work for a short time. Do you mind to explain why and how you can prove you would be dedicated and loyal to the company? The best answers for that would be the honest one, I would say. Again, being truthful is just your best bet when it comes to dealing with interviews. Why did you have short amounts of time in certain workplaces? There are many factors that can play into that. One thing I want to remind you though is avoid bad mouthing your previous companies.
Yeah.
Even though that was the reason. Even though you just didn't work well with your bosses or things like that. But definitely avoid bad mouthing your previous companies because interviewers take note of that.
Yeah.
Try to figure out a way, reflect. I would say before going into interviews, if this is your experience, reflect on your accountability, okay? Yes, you might have had really bad employers or people you just didn't fit in well with in terms of professional settings, but also think about your part in it, yeah? Why did you come to the decision to move on from that company, and think about how you actively made that choice. Yeah. Placing blame on previous companies and things like that is something you do with your best friends. It's not something you do during interviews. Yeah. I'm not saying that it was an unfair situation. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that this is for interview purposes. So yeah, interviewers would kind of stop at that if you start bad mouthing previous employers. Definitely.
All right, Alex.
Yeah. Well, honestly, those are two questions that normally ask interviewers. Because as we know, I don't know why, there's a trend in the millennials or younger generations nowadays. They tend to work like, I know someone who actually worked in 5 companies in the past two years. I remember my time, I worked for 8 years in my first job. So that's a different comparison. So that's why normally we ask that kind of questions. And when I ask that question, I will expect an answer that I want to know. Why do they want why do they want to work for this company? What is different from the previous company? That's the reason why I asked that answer, the question. So Tia mentioned research. Yes, dig into yourself, reflect, research on yourself. Why did you quit from your previous companies? Why? Not just because the boss, must be something else. Why didn't you get from the previous company and you want to get it from this company? That's the answer you should give the interviewers. For example, if I were asked this question, my answer would be, the reason why I quit from my company, because I didn't get much training as a fresh graduate. I would actually be, I would say, more productive if I received more mentoring sessions and maybe some training related to communication that I'm dealing with. So for example, if I worked in, if I have to manage the social media, I know this much, but I will also expect there will be some upgrade from my senior or maybe from the company to support me to do my work better. So the main reason I quit because I feel that I didn't improve much. I didn't feel, my expectation to join a company so I can improve myself, not only the company, but also myself and other people around me. So that the answers I would give the interviewers. Okay. Show the positive side. Once you badmouth about something negative about the previous company, then the interviewer will straightly cross your names out. You're not going to be hired automatically. Because what happened if you quit from this company? You would do the same to this company.
That's true.
So be careful. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. There are more questions.
Thank you for the questions.
This is good.
They're good questions.
I think Anna's question has already been answered, yeah, about salary.
Yeah.
Now Nida, can you see it here? Nida and Dina.
Yes, I can see Nida's question, which is how to handle when we are getting more nervous in front of the interviewer, online or offline. Yeah.
That happened to everybody.
Yes. Yeah, human.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, so this is something that hopefully you will be able to improve on the more you practice. Okay, so for people who are prone to being anxious or being very nervous, I do recommend rehearsing with your friends. And when I say rehearsing, it's not merely going through the questions, just looking at a list of questions. Like, we're going to provide you with a list of questions and then some more relating to startup companies. But there is a difference between reading the questions and actually working with somebody else, having them ask the question and then making yourself answer it. You know, that's a completely different process. And you try it out once and you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, it's not enough to simply read at the questions that I've provided here. It's not enough to do that. You have to sit down with somebody, even through video call, and then practice. Especially if you tend to be nervous or anxious or things like that. So rehearsing is a big deal. I know that some of you might be thinking like, but we might not get the very same answers at this very same questions. But the thing is, even just practicing answering questions, they're commonly asked during interview, you're training yourself, you're training your brain, you're training your mind to how to deal with questions right away. So while thinking on your feet. So yeah, I would say rehearsal. Don't hesitate to record yourself while you're rehearsing using your voice note app, and then listening again after your rehearsal session with your friends, taking note of how you answered things, whether you were very clear, whether you're not, what are your habits again, like I mentioned earlier, do you mumble, do you repeat yourself, and things like that. Another thing would be breathing exercises. Just do some deep breathing regularly every day. Hopefully that will help with your nerves. Those are tips for me.
Okay, another question from Fabiola. Alex, can you read that? Have you read?
Sure. Let me see. Okay, what's the best answer when the interviewer asks, why should we hire you? And what can you bring to the table?
You've mentioned it already.
Why should we hire you? Highlight your strengths, highlight your skills, highlight your quality, highlight the value of yourself. Okay, what can you contribute to the company? Relate that to the job requirements. Okay, be different. Okay, and be extraordinary. Be different from the other candidates. Okay, sometimes being brave is what they're looking for, and resilience. Okay. Being brave in answering their questions and actually show them that, yes, I have weaknesses, but I'm overcoming it.
Yeah.
And don't
Okay.
forget, after you get the interview, one part would be follow up. That's also important. Okay. Follow up, ask them when you will get the answer to show your eagerness, to show that you really want the job. Don't just forget it. Oh, I'm going to wait and wait and wait. What happened if they actually forgot you? It happens. What happens if their emails actually runs into spam? So we have to be really, I would say, show initiatives in following up. What if you're actually working in sales area? You're expected to call people, right, to follow up. So you should show the same thing. Not very persistently, but moderately. You can ask them, well, if I haven't heard from you in 2 weeks, can I email you to check? That's fine. Okay. But follow up, that's very important because anything can happen in recruitment. Okay. There's one thing that happened when I recruited someone very important, a very high position. And let's say someone actually forgot to email this person while we actually want to hire that person. By accident, the person actually lose the email address. So as a result, we didn't contact this person for a long time. And luckily, this person actually emailed me back. So that's how he got his job. Imagine if he didn't contact us. He'll lose the job.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Next, Raihan Barik. Nitya, can you?
Can I clarify here? What if a job recruiter from a company uses casual message? Do you mean casual language? Is that what you mean? Can we as applicants
or WhatsApp? Raihan, maybe can you clarify? It's a casual
yes,
message.
Yeah, like,
Raihan?
Yes.
Yes, please turn on your camera. You want to see you.
Don't have a camera. Don't have webcam.
Oh, okay, fine. Student always has reason.
All right, your voice.
Okay, Raihan, we can hear you.
Yeah, what if a job recruiter from a company is just a casual message? Yesterday, I got a message from LinkedIn, and the message is not like formal message, but like a friend chatting to other friends. Yeah, I like that, and I replied in that message as a formal or how?
I would say take the lead from the person who's interviewing you, but also still remember that this is a stranger. This is not your friend. Okay, so maybe take the tone of how you would talk to somebody who is senior, but has a friendly relationship with you. Okay, because like I understand this dilemma because like nowadays with the more and more job opportunities opening up in less and less formal settings, like with startups and with co-working spaces and things like that, a lot of people actually choose to not be too formal when they interact with candidates or with co-workers and things like that. So I would say take the lead from the person who started the correspondence, but still maintain some level of politeness. Just remember this is a stranger still. So how you would speak politely to a stranger, but not in a formal setting, you know. I hope that's good. I know it's very vague, but I hope that's something that you can kind of figure out. So no, you don't need to be very formal. Asking you to not.
Well, when I
Maybe
check,
I can add something.
Yeah, sure.
In the modern business communication nowadays, the text and also emails and letters that are expected will be neutral tone, not very formal. If you're very formal, you're boring. That's a sign, unless you're working for the government. So not very informal either. So neutral tone, keep your tone neutral, and it's good to follow the lead. When the person responds the first time, it's very informal way. Follow the lead. Be casual, but still polite. Okay, be casual but still polite because that's what's expected. If you're being too formal, you're not coming in the same level as the person, as the respondent. In order to build chemistry, we should be in the same energy and some levels of. If the person is very cheerful and then we're really, really formal, there's no connection in there. So you want to build the connections. Do your best to build the connection because it's very important. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Raihan.
Okay,
Okay, thank you, Alex and Tia. One more questions, and this is last but not least question from Ujang. Have you read it? Tia or Alex?
Yes, I'm reading it. Yeah. So Ujang. Hi, Ujang. Ujang Samsul. Okay. He wants to ask about.
Yeah, Ujang, maybe you want to say it.
He wants to ask about how to be concise.
Yes, and how to avoid seeming overconfident when talking about your strengths. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. You're gonna be bored, but I'm going to go back to rehearsing your answers. Really, it works wonders. Whether you are facing an interview, whether you're facing exams, a lot of people, well, myself included, you know, when we feel like when we look at a list of questions and read them and understand them, and then we feel like we're prepared. We're not. Let me say that again. We're not. We will not be truly prepared until we've actually gone through a simulation of answering those questions. Okay, so I cannot emphasize more how important rehearsal is. Yeah, it will help you. Like it will help you kind of like shape your answers so that they are concise and they're short and they're sharp. You know, if you want that kind of answer, because you shouldn't memorize answers, right? But if you practice and then you've thought about your answers and then you reviewed it and then you revise it and then you improve upon it, then you will be left with a concise answer that is yours. That's not mine. That's not Alex's. Yours. And that's how you do it. You want to tackle this second part of the question, Alex?
Yeah, if I may add, practice makes perfect. That's true. But another point that is also important, acceptance. Once we already practice, we know that in reality it might not be the same. Okay, there's always some surprises that we have to be able to handle. So be agile, be resilient, able to handle all conditions, and accept that you're nervous. You know, the truth is, the more we practice, the more we are nervous, right? That's what happened to me anyway. So we forget, we actually afraid of maybe we miss something because we've been doing lots of rehearsals, lots of practice, and maybe we forgot 1 or 2 points. So we get more and more nervous. That's okay. So accept it. Accept that you're nervous. Understand it. Acknowledge it. And when it happened during the interview, you lost words, just say something. I'm sorry, I'm really nervous. Interview is very important to me. So can you give me a couple of minutes? So you drink, ask for a drink. That's okay. Take a deep breath and continue again. Okay, it's fine.
Yep.
So that's what you need to do during the interview if that happened. It's happened to a lot of people with higher positions, trust me.
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes, you know what? The interviewers are actually more nervous than you because they are nervous of hiring wrong people because the budget's quite high. Hiring a person takes lots of budget.
Yeah.
If they hire a wrong one, that will be a mistake.
A loss.
Okay? Yeah, and a loss.
Okay, thank you everyone for asking some questions. This is really useful. One or two more from me. How about these words? Ambition, ambitious, and perfectionist. Can a candidate say that my strengths are I'm ambitious and I'm a perfectionist? How do you think it is overconfident? But like ambitious or ambition or being perfect is like, to me, it's like double sword. It's like double meaning, right?
Yes, yes. And I think it relates to the second part of
or do I have to change the word? Don't use ambitious.
Is that who you are? You don't need to change it.
Yeah.
But you need to show why you are ambitious. Why are you perfectionist? In what condition? So give examples and details.
And
I'm a perfectionist. Well, I'm a perfectionist because I want everything to work well. Because I will make sure everything runs smoothly, comply to the rules and policy. That's a good thing, right?
Yeah, that's a great thing.
Yeah,
And also, I
highlight
think
that.
relating that back to Atika's reflection that it's a double-edged sword, show your awareness that it's a double-edged sword, that this is something that can be good and can be bad. And blah, 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 blah. But I also know that being overly ambitious can be detrimental. So I'm trying to maintain my balance in my outlook in my professional life, my career, and in my personal life. Making sure that I don't burn out quickly and I can have a more sustainable approach to projects and have a sustainable relationship with my coworkers, even though I'm ambitious. So, like Alex said, embracing and accepting who you are and reflecting how you can show the interviewer that you know the cons of having these traits. That would actually be really impressive for an interviewer to hear.
Interview session is actually self-selling session. So sell yourself for the time, maybe 30 minutes. Sell yourself. Either you want to do it overconfidently, it's your choice.
Yeah.
It's your choice.
And the thing about overconfident, a lot of the times that has to do with your own perception. Because you're not used, like I said earlier, well,
Indonesians are
as Indonesians,
it's very humble.
We're asked to not be sombong.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So
in order to sell a product, you need to know the product inside out, right? So know yourself inside out.
Okay. So thank you for the answer. One more. So,
I thought it's finished.
We are going to finish soon. Most of the participants here are communication students. How much extent does communication skill can be applied in the interview or in a job?
Very crucial.
That's so important.
Yeah, it's very important. As a communication student, the interviewers will expect communication skills. The questions about the first question. Tell me about yourself. This is your chance for you to sell yourself for 2 minutes. So talk about 2 minutes about yourself. Use the communication skills. If you're familiar with the communication pyramid by Barbara Minto, use it. That's a very good technique to apply to answer that questions. Then if you ask question like more behavioral question, for example, describe a time when you were under a lot of pressure at school or at the campus or the club or anything. You can use the STAR method. That's one of the communication method. Describe the situation and what's your role in that during that situation and result. So there are some communication techniques that you can apply. By applying these techniques, these two techniques, is showing maybe you are different from the other candidates. You are able to actually communicate well your ideas. By applying these techniques also help you being concise and clear, because that helps. Okay, so you have the flow of your speech, you know how organized it is, and you're making yourself more concise. Okay, so apply the techniques from communications that you have learned, because they are useful.
So did you mean that communication students got higher standard? I mean, higher what?
An advantage?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say, you should have an advantage over people who are not as in skills
for example, if we are interviewing English teachers, we will expect the person to speak English very well, right?
Yeah.
Right. And if we interview babysitters, we will expect the person to love children, right?
Yeah. At least be good at handling children. Oh, can I add one more thing? Even though this whole thing has been presented in English, everything is presented in English, I like to emphasize that these skills, these tips, these strategies, they're transferable in any language. So even though you're going to go to an interview that's in Indonesian or in any other language that you're fluent in, you can apply these very same skills. Okay, so
I see. Okay. All right, thank you very much, Tia and Alex. So I think this is a wrap.
Thank you for the question.
Yeah, thank you for the participations. And now I'm going to give just a brief summary that all of you now know how to prepare for an interview and then how to create the first meaningful impression, how important it is, and how to deal with interview questions effectively. And you know now what the common mistakes, and yeah, you have to do your best to avoid that. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your experience and also your sharing a lot of things. Thank you. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having us today.
Thank you for your time, Tia and Alex. Back to you, Iklima.
Thank you, Miss Atika. Okay, I really learned a lot today from the speakers. So thank you to our trainers today, Miss Alex and Miss Tia. I really appreciate it. But before moving to the next one, how about we take a picture again? Because the first picture, I think there are a few participants here who open their cameras. So could you please open your camera again so we could take a pic again? Okay, I'll wait for everyone here to open their camera. Okay, everyone, hello. Don't let me be alone here.
Show us your beautiful faces, please, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's just take Mas Owan, could you please help me? Ayo, on cam teman-teman.
Oke, semuanya sudah on cam. Belum semua. Faiz, Alifa.
A lot. How many layers are there?
There are six. There are six.
Six.
There are 6 pages.
Wow. Oke, semuanya close on cam ya.
That's shy. Okay.
Oke, saya take chapter ya. Siap, untuk total semua ada masih tetap 7 layer. Di layer pertama, 1, 2, 3. Oke, selanjutnya untuk layer kedua, 1, 2, 3. Oke, untuk layer ketiga, 1, 2, 3. Oke, untuk layer keempat, 1, 2, 3. Oke, untuk layer kelima, 1, 2, 3. Untuk layer keenam, 1, 2, 3. Oke, dan layer terakhir, 1, 2, 3. Oke, terima kasih.
Thank you, Mas Owan. Okay,
thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Miss. We really appreciate the lesson from you guys today. And we have a little something for you. Maybe Mas Owan could share the certificate for our trainers. For Miss Tia first. This is a certificate. I hope that the certificate can give benefits and memorable for you.
Thank you.
Mas Owan, could you please share? Yeah. This is the certificate to Miss Tia.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And for Miss Alex. Yeah, this is the certificate.
Thank you very much.
For Miss Alex. You're welcome, Miss Alex. I thank you too. I thank you both for giving us a lot of lesson today. I also, our friends here could learn a lot today, so we could definitely apply it to the real interviews. And don't forget to do rehearsals, because practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
I think that will be it. I'd like to thank the committee members who have organized this event really well. I apologize if there are any inconveniences during the event, but hopefully this workshop will be useful for all of us. The presentation and certificate will be sent to your email. Don't forget to fill the attendance form at the link given in the chat box. Yeah, Bami has given us the link, the Google Form link. So that would be my cue, and this is the end of our session. Well, that wraps up our day. On behalf of the committee, thank you all for making time in your busy schedules to join us here this morning. It is truly an honor for me to host this event, and I wish you all a pleasant day. Have a good day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Iklima. Thank you,
Thank
Tia.
you.
Thank you, everyone.
Mas Owan, Bami, the committee, and Butri, Butia, thank you. And thank you to all the lecturers and participants, of course.
Thank you, everyone.
Have a good day.
You too have a good
Have a good
day.
day.
Yeah.
In the handout,
so
there is a
glad, yeah.
link actually that we forgot to mention. There's a link to
right.
articles about the questions coming from the startup companies. So please read the articles, because the questions coming from startup companies can be extraordinary. For example, what cars are you driving? Okay, just an example. So read the article.
Yeah. Thank you, Alex and Tia.
Alex.
Thank you.
Oh, Alhamdulillah.
Bye.
12 o'clock, we finished. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah, we are
It's
so,
okay. We started at
so
10:15,
punctual.
right?
10:10.
Oh, 10:10. Okay. Right.
See you then.
See
Yeah.
you.
See
Have a
you.
good
Thank you
day.
very much.
Thank you, Miss.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, see you.
everyone.
I'll go back to the chat in WhatsApp, yeah?
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Leonita.
Bu Leonita.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
everyone, goodbye.
Goodbye, Miss.
Bye-bye. I'm leaving this room, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.